Okay, in this section now, what I want to talk about is an approach to the drum set itself, the physical nature of it, and things like that. Now, when I play on the set, I lead with my left hand. So, like we were talking about in the previous section about developing your right hand and your left hand, and say working out of the George Lawrence Stone book Stick Control that has you develop both hands. And why that's important is when I play, and what I found that works is again leading with my left hand instead of my right hand all the time. You could still lead with your right hand. I do both. I recommend developing both. Um, but what I'm getting at is instead of how most drummers kind of cross over to play on the hi hat, so they play like this, or match grip players, whatever, they play like this. But the problem is one of the problems that you run into is you can't really use that full stroke technique that we were talking about in the earlier sections because just the actual act of crossing over to play on the hi hat gets in the way of that. So I know this hi hat is a little bit lower than most, but even when I was playing, say, right handed lead and I was crossing over, you still run into that problem where a lot of drummers come in and they complain about the left stick hitting the other drumstick or whatever. And you see that I can only reasonably get my left hand up so high. So if I wanted to play a louder dynamic on the snare, I can only get so high. So what I recommend to my students that they do, and this takes a lot of work, but it's definitely well worth it, as you'll see, is learning how to lead with your left hand. And match grip players, whatever, it doesn't matter how you hold the drumsticks, play this way. Again, I use traditional grip, so I lead that way. Now, say just taking a very simple rock beat, you can see that I can adjust the dynamic of my backbeat hand, or my right hand in this case. So by playing that groove on the snare, I got all this room here now. Because if I when I cross, I don't. I got all this room to make that full stroke and adjust my dynamic level. So to see that in action. So you see that I have all this room to make that big backbeat, or that full stroke that we talked about in the first section. But we were talking about half stroke and being able to control your dynamic that way. So having control over the drum set and the dynamic level is extremely important. So if I need to come down on the backbeat dynamic, I just cut it in half. So hopefully, because this is an electronic set, hopefully you can hear the difference in the dynamic. Obviously, on an actual acoustic drum set, that would be most profound. Coming from full stroke to half stroke, the snare backbeat would be definitely different. So again, the full stroke backbeat. And then the half stroke backbeat. And remember that I was saying that there's a lot of different nuances with this, but leading with your left hand gets your other arm and drumstick out of the way so you can use all of this. Like I was saying before, that when I play a gig, I might not necessarily do, total 12 o'clock position for my full stroke. I mean, my full stroke could be here, and they make it from that distance. But it depends on the music, and that's really what good drumming is all about, is, serving the song, playing for the music. Now, another benefit to this left hand lead thing is it opens you up to the drum set. Because if I cross over and I always play this way and right hand on the hi-hat, say if I want to get over to the floor tom way over here, I can't do that. I gotta, cross over and I'm all twisted up. But if I left hand lead on the set, I can access this tom over here. It's right there. Now, in the band that I'm currently in and bands in the past, I've had to kind of emulate drum machine beats and patterns and things like that. And, when you do that, you can make all kinds of crazy drum beats with all kinds of different rhythms in it. So one of the things that I do is, say, keep the hi-hat and the backbeat part with my left stick. So I'm doing this. So, for example, my right hand is doing nothing right now. And I'm going... And I'm just keeping that with my left stick. Now, that leaves my right hand open to make another sound or another voice on the set. Leading with my right hand over here, I wouldn't be able to do that. I only got 2 arms and 2 legs. But doing this, I can handle this. So in the band that I'm currently in, I play a floor tom part in conjunction with that beat. So that sounds like... Okay, so, and a lot of drummers, if they had to play a groove like that, they'd say, I can't do that, they'll just keep the regular groove over here. And do something like that, which there's nothing wrong with that, but, really putting time into this, if you really want to get better, sometimes you have to push yourself to lengths that you didn't think that you could get to, but it does take a lot of practice, it does take a lot of work. And then another thing that I would do, another like dance hall groove that I did in the past, involved the same idea. And that groove was, if I can remember it here, let's see, that in tempo. And do all kinds of stuff with that, A good book to work out of to develop this left-hand lead is Gary Chester's New Breed, which I use on some of my students. Some of them aren't ready for that. I mean, you gotta sing different parts while you play and sight read and all that. So you kind of gotta have your reading rhythms together, definitely, to be able to handle that. And I'm not saying you can't right hand lead. I don't have really this set up here for this. This is really just kind of my practice set. But on the set that I use for gigs, I have a hi-hat and a ride cymbal on this side of the kit, so I can do my left hand lead. And I also have a closed hi-hat and a ride cymbal on the right hand side of the set, so I can still play over here, because not everything, has to just be one side of your body or the other. So say, you should still have that ability to be able to lead with your right stick and say play the backbeat with your left hand, but then reverse it too. So you see that leading with my right this way or my left this way, I'm not closed off to the drum set by any means, and I can play other more complex rhythms for different things. So using the full stroke or the half stroke, depending on what dynamic level you want to play, that sort of thing, or you again using the half stroke for the softer dynamic, and opening up yourself to your drum set are two very important things. Like I said again earlier, the George Lawrence Stone Stick Control book is an excellent book for developing your hands, and Gary Chester's The New Breed is excellent for working on your coordination for the set. But those two approaches actually work together. So it's takes a lot of work, but you can get there. It's both of these things are still something that I'm working on today. So, and it shouldn't just be your hands too. By the way, on the drum set, you should also work with your feet. What you can do with your bass drum foot, you should be able to do with your hi hat foot. What you can play with your right hand, you should be able to play with your left hand, and vice versa. So, very important. Um, the only way to get to any of this and to get better at anything in life is to work hard at it. It's okay to take some a day or two off from practicing, but just to kind of let your brain decompress a little bit. But really, hard work is the key. I have a lot of students who ask me, what do I need to do to get better? And the only answer is practice. I mean, if there was a magic wand that I could wave over them to magically make them better, I would have used that on myself a long time ago. But the only reason I can do what I can do, and these techniques that we've talked about here, is just through sheer hard work. So practicing is the only way to go. And it's not just for that's for any instrument, but anything that you do in life is hard work, but it's all positive. So okay, I hope you got something out of this, and I will hopefully see you guys soon. Take care.